What's going on, YouTube? I'm Black Rob and you are now watching Live with Black Rob. And I got a question. Do you like to travel? And if you do like to travel, wouldn't you like to travel more for cheaper? Which ultimately adds up to more trips throughout the year. If so, in this video, I'll be showing you the 5 things that I do to travel for extremely cheap and why I believe it is so effective right after this.
Dollar signs is only the top. I pay no mind to them haters, they talk. I level up and then open the watch. The world in my hand, praying I don't drop. Praying I don't drop. Praying I don't drop. Praying I don't drop. Praying I don't drop.
So in this video, I've broken it down to 5 categories. How will you get there? Where will you stay? What will you eat? What will you do? And how are you going to get around? Now, I'll be showing you what I do to find the cheapest options throughout all of these categories. I'm actually going to dive into my computer and give you a screenshot of exactly what I will do. But first, I wanted to share a cheat code that I feel like a lot of people actually don't know about. And it's also not available to a lot of people either. Now, if you have over a 700 credit score, you can apply for a Airlines credit card. They are amazing. You usually start off with about 50,000 miles. And once you pay for everything on your credit card, which you should, and be responsible while doing it, of course. I have videos on credit. I can go more into that on another video. But you will essentially be flying for free. Yeah, I said that right. Nowadays, I don't pay for anything cash or debit. It is all credit, and I pay it off immediately just to get points. If you do this for 6 months straight, I promise you could take a couple trips with the points that you've earned off of spending money that you would have spent anyway. Look into travel credit cards. You typically have to have a 700 credit score, but you know, you could just try it out. There are pre-approval processes that won't hurt your credit. Or if you just know you're not there or you're already above it, go after it. Now, let me dive into exactly what this is going to be. All right, cool. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to Google flights. So you just Google the word flights or Google flights and it'll pop up. It's Google's own service. So I'm actually not going to put in a location, and this is a quick cheat code right here because it already has some dates in there and you can't remove them. So as you see, it has some dates. It's going to show me on those dates the cheapest flights in the country. So yeah, okay, New York 145, Houston, well that'll be pointless, but LA 177. You know, I want the cheapest prices, and if you want the cheapest prices, you actually have to be flexible. So I'm gonna do flexible, and I'm gonna pick a 1 trip in the next 6 months. You know what? Because it's short notice, and I want to take this really soon, and I want to do it for cheap. I feel like my job will only let me off maybe one day, like a Monday or on a weekend. So I'm gonna do a weekend trip in the next 6 months. So short, cheap trip, at least I can see it. So let's see here in the next 6 months. Okay, you got New York for 51. That's pretty fair. Chicago for $39 round trip. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not bad. Denver for 67. LA, Miami, Orlando. I can go somewhere warm. You know what? I'm gonna scroll out. I'm gonna see in the next 6 months a weekend trip around the world. You can see this, which is, I love this part about it because I know for a fact, wow, I can go to Tokyo for a weekend trip for $493. That is cheap. That is so cheap. Paris, tell me I can go to Paris for $639. An international trip. And then, so yeah, you can definitely see all these other areas, but you know, if I'm taking an international flight, I want to do that for, you know, at least a week or 2. So I'm gonna go back to the United States, and I do love New York. New York is really nice. Let's see what this flight is looking like. Okay, so from November 5th, Thursday, November 5th to Sunday, November 8th. I like that. I think I'll be able to get off a Thursday and a Friday, and I'll have the weekend off, of course. So let's see here. I'm gonna view these flights. $51. I love New York. Why not? Okay, I'm flying with Spirit. Don't believe in the hype. Spirit is great. The pilots are good. I don't understand why people don't like Spirit. Maybe because they don't give people these knockoff generic brand snacks that people want. But Spirit is really not bad. I flew with them plenty of times. Never had an issue. I think all of them are fair. Until I have an issue, I don't have anything bad to say about any. But yeah, so I'll see Thursday, November 5th. That's pretty fair. Select flight. That gives me enough time. $51 now. They do not allow bags. That's tough. They don't allow bags. You can have a personal bag, which is like a book bag. And I did that a few times just because I'm only going to be there for a weekend. So I don't need a ton of stuff. I could just bring like a duffel bag. If I bring a duffel bag, that'll be fine. Yeah, so I don't even need a bag. I'm just going to do a duffel bag, and I'm going to book with Spirit and knock that out, and you'll put in the necessary information. So as you see, my flight will leave at 6:50 Thursday morning, and I will be to get there, and then to get back, it'll be at 8:45 a.m. So I don't really like early flights, but I can manage. It's only $51, and I'm just going to bring a book bag, which is a personal item, so I don't have to worry about this. But even still, if I bought a check bag for $65 because I took a week trip instead, that's only going to be $112, guys, for a round trip. That's not bad. You could pay that out of one paycheck, and that's not even, for most people, a quarter of a paycheck. But, so yeah, I got the flight. That's all locked in. Perfect. I got that right here on one tab. Now I'm going to go to, let's say, Priceline. I'm going to check just to see exactly where would be the cheapest and the best to stay. I'm going to do Priceline and Airbnb. So I just go to these two websites just to see exactly which one will be cheapest. It's typically Airbnb, but you know, just to be on the safe side, you're better off just making sure you check both. So I'll be getting there on November 5th, and then I'm coming back November 8th. So nice little weekend getaway. I like that. I should say it's only one adult this time. You probably should put one adult anyway, but we not gonna talk about that. So yeah, I'm gonna say New York here for Priceline. Put in all my info. That's all I need. A hotel. Go ahead and get that loaded. Now I'm gonna go back here and do the same thing for Airbnb. Now on the 8th, I'm just gonna say one adult. Not having a party or having multiple people. Sure, maybe one other person stays. But okay, I'm already liking these options right here. Pretty fair already. This is an entire apartment in Jersey City, which, let's see where that is on the map. Yeah, that's right there. Public transportation would be perfect for something right here. I mean, sure, it's not right in Manhattan, but you're only a few blocks away. And it looks nice. Oh my. Yeah, it's a rare find. The stars are pretty good. You know, just for time purposes. Although it's in Jersey City, come on, if you know New York, public transportation is just beautiful. I'm really liking this. Oh, and you could bring somebody else if you wanted to split that price. So if you just say, hey, I got one more friend, split that price in half, that'll be pretty nice. Yeah, this is fair. This is fair. Most Airbnbs are in nice neighborhoods as well, so it's not much to really worry about. You'll realize that most are. But let's say it's another spot in Lower Manhattan around this time for 55. It was just a private room. So I'm just going to go with this in Jersey City because I think that's super fair. 64 a night, 289 in total. I'm going to go ahead and click that. While I have that clicked, I'm going to go back to Priceline and see what it gave me on those numbers. So the 5th to New York, find my hotel, never pulled up. Or it actually did, but it's okay. It's okay. Most likely you won't be able to beat that. You won't be able to beat that that Airbnb. See, they already know. I can source down, but they're not making me happy as this Airbnb. So I'm going ahead. I'm going to cancel out these price lines because they typically show the best prices. In total, you'll see 318. So you'll see if you book that 318. So right here, this is when I pull up my sticky notes. This is when I pull up my sticky notes right here. And I'm just going to put, so Airbnb 318. That's how long, because you're going to stay for 3 nights. So that's pretty fair. 318, your flight was only, let's go back and check. $51 round trip. Remember, you're only bringing a book bag. 51, and it's all because you're being flexible. It's all because you're being flexible. So that's perfect. You got exactly where you're going to stay. Now, what will you eat? What I typically do is once I see exactly where the place is, because you have maps. You have maps. You can see here exactly where it is. If you're going to New York or any major city, you're typically going to have a lot of food around you. But what I suggest in order to get it as cheap as possible, because you're most likely going to spend the most money on food. So what I suggest is to just buy some, but get some bulk food. You can really run to the grocery store right up the street from you. Most people don't want to do that. They want to eat out, and I probably wouldn't do that, but this is how to get it as cheap as possible. But you can just make a budget for yourself. Come on, if you're just spending for food on yourself, and it's only a weekend trip, but you really want to eat good. I would typically say $10 for lunch, $10 for breakfast, $10 for lunch, and let's say $40 for dinner. You could try to do that, and that's $60 a day on food. In this particular instance, you're going to be on a trip for, I think, 3 nights. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you're coming back Sunday morning. So you really only have to eat for 3 days. So $60 with 60 times 3, guys, $180. So just do a $200 food budget, which I think that's pretty fair because some people won't even eat 3 times a day. Some people won't even eat 3 times a day, so you don't have to worry about that. So you got the food in there for $200. I definitely suggest just looking around you, or you could definitely search up. You know how to get food. There's plenty of places to get food. I don't need to tell you how to get cheap food because everyone in America knows that you can go to McDonald's and get you a 4 for $4, or that's Wendy's. But things are out there cheap. But if you just want to see things, that's the most important. So now, what would you do? What exactly would you do when you get there? It just really depends on what you're into. Some people really don't need to or want to go to aquarium or amusement park or something that's going to cost a ton of money because they're not even into those things. They more want to go to, the park. They want to see Central Park, or they want to see the buildings or take pictures or just be there. They want to experience the culture and the vibe. So obviously you would know if something that you absolutely want to do is going to cost you money. What I suggest is I typically go just Google those things, but it tends to lead you to TripAdvisor. So things to do in NYC, and it typically leads you to TripAdvisor, or that's where I would go. 15 best things to do in NYC, and they'll tell you some pretty good things, and a lot of things are going to be free as well. So look, this isn't hard to do, but even as you see, you'll have some things that you can pay for, which might actually be completely worth it. New York in one day got its sightseeing tour for $89. I would probably pay for this and just put that in my budget. So, and then everything else is going to be free. So for me, let's just say, look, I want to go see this sightseeing tour because I think it's going to be great. I'm going to put that in there. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's what I'm going to do. Everything else is going to be just me seeing with my own eyes or traveling the landmarks or buildings I've always wanted to see, like Brooklyn, and eating and going out or something like that. I would say nightlife, if you want to go out and have fun during the night, you definitely want to, you'll add more to your entertainment budget. So I'm actually going to say change this to entertainment. And then I'm going to give myself just, I'm going to say $150. Because I might go out or go see a movie or go see a play. That's not going to be too expensive either. So yeah, that's what you'll do. And exactly how are you going to get around? Now, that really depends on where you are going. Now, with the Airbnbs and where you're going to stay, I suggest actually picking somewhere that's close to public transportation. Now, in New York, for instance, great public transportation. Most of the major cities do. They have great public transportation. So just staying by a line, a rail line, or a bus, that is your best option because you can download the app and figure out how to ride around for the cheapest way quick. You can figure that out really quick. So try that way. Another way that most people already know about is Uber and Lyft. You can easily do those options. But now if it's absolutely necessary, which is the very last thing I suggest anyone to do, is renting a car. But sometimes you have to, you really have to. So, if it's needed, then go ahead and do that. But that is going to be a little bit more money. So I suggest trying to stay away from that. But yeah, those are exactly the things that I would do to take a trip. I'm going to go ahead and put travel expenses in my notes. And I'm just going to put a extra $60. Shouldn't really be any more than $60 unless you are just overdoing Lyft, like you're really going out of the way. So I'll say $60 because you can buy a bus pass or a rail pass or anything like that in any major cities, and even still Lyft and Uber aren't that expensive. So bang, from all of that, I'm going to punch the math into my handy dandy phone calculator. 318 plus 51 plus 200 plus 150 plus 60. So this trip by yourself is going to cost you $779. On a budget, $779. Now think about it. You are going to New York City. You're going to be there for 3 days, 4 days. You're going to be staying like right in the city. That's really not bad. Now think about it this way. imagine if you're splitting this with one other person, because it was 2 beds in there, or it's just your significant other. You'll slice that Airbnb in half, and you'll probably slice travel expenses as well. So that'll even make it even cheaper. You know, you'll be looking around $500, which is not even one paycheck. So if I book this trip, I'm going in November. The only thing I absolutely have to pay for right now is the flight and the Airbnb. I'll go ahead and knock that out. I'll go ahead and knock that out pretty right then and there, just so I can have those 2 locked in. So yeah, I'll be looking at about, you know, $350, $400 up front. Sure, cool. I'll go ahead and do that. And then afterwards, I'm just going to save my money for the travel expenses and the food and the entertainment, which isn't that much more. That could actually be one more paycheck from your job or something like that. So I try to think about it that way. It's just best if you already have, you know, $779 saved, so you're not even thinking about, you know, how to strategically plan. But yeah, that's for another video. So I do have a video coming soon about how to aggressively save while you have bills. Definitely tune into that. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I just took a trip for only $779, and if I'm splitting it with anybody else, it's going to be cheaper than that. I promise you that is extremely fair. So guys, I want to just thank you all for watching, and please tune in next week to my latest video. Peace.